Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I went to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like 20 bucks a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like 50 bucks a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Paulie Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion, Paulie Massimino. Car rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to K100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I went to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like 20 bucks a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like 50 bucks a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
KA Junior warm-up presented by BBS Race Engines on a wet racetrack here from Trackhouse Motorplex. Just about a good way through this group on track right here. Jose Halfen, quickest on the wet tires, and an off-track moment for the 847 of Edgar Rodriguez as the rain hit last night. In fact, there were tornado warnings where we were staying that came in just before 1 a.m. local time. It has been a very wild weekend with the weather, Henry. Probably feels a bit like home.
Yeah, I can now add a tornado warning to the list of things that I have slept through. But, you know, this is the final day of round 2 of the United States Pro Kart Series. The Trackhouse Motorplex, well, the drainage that I was told was so good certainly lived up to its reputation yesterday. We got dumped on. I'm sure all the Kart Chaser Premium members would have seen it was a long, long day of heat racing yesterday. It was a long, long night for some of the parents, the mechanics, and the teams getting nearly 250 go-karts prepped, re-prepped, washed and cleaned. I was walking around the paddock this morning, and most of the driver tents, there was washing lines with race suit after race suit draped over them because mixed conditions yesterday. It's damp this morning, but it's due to dry out, although the temperature has dropped quite considerably. The ambient temperature is, it's certainly not early summer, it's definitely late spring weather conditions. But you can see there a little bit of sun trying to peek through. We've got warm-up going on at the moment, and then 9 lengthy main
Henry,
events.
I think someone's already ready to get, well, it's going to be seven main events because no B mains today. Remember, we have
9 main events. There you go, 7 main events.
7 main events. And series owner Mark Coates is calling me right now. So I'm going to pop out for a second and figure out what we got going on there. But nonetheless, warm-up's underway, folks. And the sun, finally, a welcome sight, a sight for sore eyes here after another rain-soaked evening in North Carolina.
Mark's probably going to see my invoice.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe.
Okay, so you're watching the second half of KA 100 Junior on track. Jose Halfen is fastest at the moment. Nico Katowski is second, and Nico has got a big job on his hand. He's going to be coming from grid 48 in the final, in the main event. He's just gone quickest with a time of 59.104. So lap times in KA Junior, they're 8-9 seconds off full dry weather pace. There's Eli Warren, and there, more importantly, well, not more importantly than Eli, but the drivers are all looking at those clouds. Went in to see Eli. Eli is in the HOTS driver development awning, and as I was doing my paddock rounds this morning, those clouds are about as dark and as threatening as it's possible to be without dumping any of, as Xander referred to yesterday, liquid sunshine all over us. There is the sunshine. Karts are on wet tyres at the moment. Not everybody has chosen to go out this morning because you can see the track is damp, and of course that will chew these wet tyres up at a rate of knots. So you're watching the warm-ups. They'll be free to air as always on Kart Chaser. The main events, that goes behind our paywall for the KC Premium members, and at $9.99 a month for over 60 events that KC Kart Chaser will cover this year. There will be plenty of racing. You know, you can, I can't quite remember what Xander says. Basically, if you're not a subscriber, well, number one, why not? You should be. If you're not a premium member, then become one. It's well worth it, but don't do it off your iPhone. because it takes a little bit of extra money. Well, Apple take a little bit of extra money. Do it from your laptop. And it's just $9.99 a month. That's the most cost-effective way of doing it. You can see how dirty the track is as you're watching some of the cars. There you can see the number 847 and the number 817. The amount of mud that is just kicked up off these tyres. That's not because those two karts have gone off track. That is just because it is so muddy off track. North Carolina has some very unique, it's sort of a deep red clay type mud that sticks to absolutely everything, including go-karts, bodywork and tyres. But Nico Katowski, he completes morning warm-up top of the field in K100 Junior, 0.3 of a second ahead of Marco Romero, Edgar Rodriguez and Nathan Dupuis share the second row. Dupuis due to start 28th, but the main question at the moment is tyres, and Alex Searle is the man on the scene. He can tell us all about tyres. What's going on, Alex?
Yeah, thanks, Henry. Down here on the grid, and again, you mentioned that the track's obviously pretty wet out there, but it's getting dry, and you see Caleb Gafera, the only driver in this next KA senior group that's going to roll out on slick tires. Honestly, the biggest reason is because he just had him on the go-kart mounted already from last night. Didn't really feel like changing the wets, so he's going to go out there and see what he could do on slick tires on a drying racetrack.
Thank you, Alex. And I think that Caleb's thinking, well, what's the point of burning up what wet tyres I've got for a non-essential warm-up session? The track here at Trackhouse Motorplex, which is of course modelled on the legendary Parma circuit in Italy, the legendary and much missed Parma circuit in Italy, does dry very, very quickly. Now you can see there on your screens, sunglasses are being worn and the sun is shining. Emery Lyder and Eli Warren leading out the first group of KA100 seniors. I think we've got about 48 in total. Now, I'm not sure what the starting lineups are for the main events, but we don't have any LCQs, last chance qualifiers. We just have the 22-lap mains for KA Junior, KA Senior, X30 Junior, and somebody getting very agricultural there, a shake of the head. In fact, several drivers, and I think that they're on wet tyres. That's the 904, David Martinez, Mexico City driver, and somebody slowing down. So it's the last thing we want to do in morning warm-up because there's not a great deal of time. Now, there is Emery Lyder, Kart Chaser's own Emery Lyder, in one of his, probably one of his final national appearances before he goes off to law school. No, sorry, before he goes off to become full-time. He is on slick tyres, and we're getting word from our production crew here in the new Kart Chaser outside broadcast unit. And you can see Emery. So let's follow Emery around this 11-turn circuit to see how a driver negotiates this track. So you're coming off the final corner, staying to the middle of the track. He's going to be hard on the brakes. You can see him wrench that kart to the inside. Now, he doesn't want to let the kart run out too wide. There's plenty of grip through turns 1 and 2. As you can see, turn 3 as well is predominantly dry. Here is the first real danger zone for the drivers. You can see the trees over the bowl section. This part of the circuit dries a lot later than everything else, but Emery doing a sterling job at the moment. But again, using a lot of front end, really trying to hook that kart in to the corners. Coming into turn number 8, where do I go, where do I go? Break in a straight line, don't let the back end step out, stay on the outside line. You can see where the dry line is developing, But again, into turn number 9, you can see him soaring away at the wheel just to try and get that front end to bite. And that is a driver on slick tyres, and of course, he's not even going to complete the lap. So that's how you get round this track on slicks. Here's James Overbeck. He is on wet tyres, so he's going to be a lot quicker over the course of a lap, but he is burning up these wet tyres at the moment. Emery Lyder, 1 minute 14 on slicks, and you can see there, Caleb is at the Hots Racing development drive. That's Caleb Gafara, so Caleb is on slicks as well, thanks to what Alex Searle told us earlier. Caleb's done a 101.31. Fastest lap of the session so far is a 100.27. So it's happened. Slick tyres within a second of wet tyres. The changeover point has occurred, which means that everybody on the dummy grid, if they've got, if they're thinking about saving a set of wets potentially for the main events, you take them off the go-kart now, because even 2 or 3 laps on wet tyres now will render them potentially useless for the main events. 22 laps, let's not forget, for KA Junior, KA Senior, X30 Junior, KA Masters and X30 Pro. 20 laps for Mini Swift and Micro Swift. That's a long, long race. The heat races yesterday, 12 laps each, so you're getting plenty of laps in your main event. Now there's Eli Warren, who is third quickest, the number 932 kart of Shea Aldrich. Shea is the fastest driver in this group at the moment. 59.98 seconds. Caleb Gafara on slick tyres, a 61.31. Aldrich, who has obviously been off track already on wet tyres, just to give you an idea of how treacherous it is. He was had a rough last heat race. He was involved in a couple of incidents with Blake Nash, and that was put a bit of a crimp in his day. You can see Eli Warren and the drivers on wet tyres. They're moving around now to try and find areas of where there is not standing water, but still just a little bit of residual moisture to stop or to try and prevent the wet tyres from overheating as much as they are. Wrigley Keys, 922 for the Nash Motorsport team. The driver from Old Greenwich, Connecticut. Oh, and there is Aldrich, I think, off again. There's Wrigley. He's got to avoid that field by there. I've got to get a Wrigley field gag in. There's probably a Wrigley's chewing gum gag in there somewhere as well. But he's fastest at the moment. His tyres, yeah, there we are. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. His tyres sticking to the circuit like chewing gum. How's that? I could do better. But here we are. Keys leads. Aldrich, second fastest. Autumn Fisher, third fastest. In the number 967 kart. The young lady for the TV Kart USA team. The sister of Ty Fisher, who blazed a great trail for the Mean Green Machines last year. And Autumn, even though now Autumn, the TV Kart USA machines are blue, the bodywork is blue, the wagon is still mean and green, and it's still very fast. So Wrigley Keys and this driver, Shea Aldrich. Now, there was a line longer than the Sunday morning drive-through queue at the Bojangles just down the road from the circuit last night of mechanics looking to use the hose pipe to wash down some very, very muddy go-karts. Not all the mechanics were looking wonderfully thrilled. My personal opinion is that if a driver has gone off of their own free volition and got their go-kart muddy, then they should be the one cleaning it. Now, we'll there we go. There was too many drivers playing football and what have you, soccer in the paddock last night, having a good time. We'll be up next with the second group of KA100 Senior warm-up sessions. And that will be coming up very, very shortly here on Kart Chaser, live from the Trackhouse Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. So, as we watch the second group of KA100 senior drivers head out on their first lap of warm-up, we can head back down to Alex Searle on the grid with another update of what's going on. Take it away, Alex.
Thanks, Henry. Well, while we follow Gavin Bailiff on the racetrack, I want to give you guys back at home a little bit of insight on what that Burrell Art is dealing with right now. Yesterday, had a pretty scary incident. Exit of turn number 1, completely cracked and pretty much broke off the rear left section of the mount that holds the rear bumper. That go-kart should have been written off. The TKG boys were hard at work. They put a metal rod inside the tubing and then re-welded it to make sure that Gavin Bailiff can get back out onto the racetrack. It's one of the coolest feats of being a mechanic that I've seen in quite some time. So for Gavin Bailiff, he has no idea how this go-kart's going to handle, but at least he's out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. I was with you as Gavin was showing us the job. So there's a 28 mil bit of metal tubing inside the frame, and I think when they went to straighten the frame, literally the left rear corner of the kart fell off. And of course, Gavin has got former world karting champion Colin Brown working with him and Finnegan and some of the other TKG drivers. I'm wondering if Alex is still down there. Obviously, now the next group of drivers are heading towards the grid. This is the second group of KA100 Senior. Now, Alex, I was just wondering if you are still listening, what's the feeling down there? What's the general state of play with what people believe the weather is going to do over the course of the day? Are people saying it's going to dry out, or are there people thinking it's still going to be a little bit more moisture before the day is out?
I mean, looking at the radar, Henry, and talking to a lot of the drivers and teams, they feel like it's going to dry out. I mean, this is as sunny of a day that I've seen, since we saw yesterday morning. The clouds are starting to part, and the radar says clear. Now, obviously, I'm from Florida, so I understand that means absolutely nothing, but hopefully it stays away. And I know a lot of drivers that I've spoken to this morning actually opted to not run the warm-up this morning just because they are so confident it'll be dry for the main event that they won't really learn anything from this morning. And you pretty much risk getting any water in your engine and messing up your chassis. So at least down here in the paddock, and from what I've seen on my radar, hopefully the sun is going to stay out for the rest of the day.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex. I'll let you go back and get some more little bits of information about the drivers, and we'll hopefully catch up with you very, very shortly. During my rounds of the paddock this morning, I was speaking to, in this class, as we watched Stephen Isett in the number 939 Kart Speed Sense Motorsport. I was chatting with Paulie Massimino, who of course yesterday, as you will recall, the KA seniors, they went out in the worst of the weather conditions. One of their heat races was held in conditions that I would describe as absolutely abysmal. It was very borderline, and Paulie, I think, growing into his role as not one of the elder statesmen of the championship or of the North American karting, but certainly as one of the most respected voices as a professional racing driver coach. He was quite vociferous with the organisers about saying, look, we'll go with the seniors, we come in, we're all safe, but You can't send the younger drivers out, and it takes a lot for a driver to sort of stand up and go to the organisers and stick your head above the parapet. And chatting to Paulie this morning, and he just said, look, we all know the risks, but I want all the kids to be safe, and of course the organisers do as well. And luckily, fortunately, the rain did sort of abate slightly, so we didn't have any of our youngsters out on the track conditions where there was just lots and lots of standing water. But it was interesting to see us, the whole karting scene here in North America and the national racing scene grows and grows and grows. Some of the veterans of the championship, they're becoming more emboldened to, speak their mind and to say, look, my voice is not, I'm a respected voice. This is not through any sort of self-interest. This is just through the general, my feeling as a professional and a veteran driver of the series. So that was interesting. Lucas Sabo for Ryan Perry Motorsports is now fast, and this is where times are really coming down. 56.689, all on slick tyres, and there's still a couple of seconds off wet weather pace, full dry weather pace, but slick tyres are certainly the way to go. And as you can see the sun shining on the live stream, this track will now begin to dry out. The racing line will dry out very, very quickly. If the temperature continues to heat up, it was very warm yesterday, quite humid, yet this morning, certainly with the overcast skies, it was not warm, but obviously now with, I say this, areas of blue sky. There are still some pretty threatening clouds around, but with areas of blue sky, that will help dry the track. There's number 914, Blake Nash. Third generation driver out of California. An up and down day yesterday. His speed is unquestionable. Some of his incidents on track yesterday drew the ire of the race officials, and of course USPKS have brought cameras in, their own circuit cameras, to look at on-track incidents. And joining me up here in the commentary booth, for the time being, Caleb Vieska. Caleb, welcome to the booth. You were out in the pits yesterday, getting a feel for the paddock, and now we're here in the commentary box. We're looking at Mini Swift up next. How's your morning going, Caleb?
So far, so good. I mean, we're rolling on the production side of things. I know it's been a long weekend. It feels like yesterday with the rain and all the changes in condition was definitely hard for all of us to manage, but we got it done, and that's a huge shout out to our production crew, Taylor Burris in here, Riley Can, and Carson Clements as well, as well as all of our hardworking camera guys. So it's definitely cool to see.
I mean, normally we let Big Red, Bossman Zander, talk about that. But yeah, while we look at Park Arrives, getting a few words of encouragement from Brandon Carr, and Brandon Carr had his sprint race last night called off.
Yeah.
Due to the weather. Now, what's Brandon driving? He's driving the midget, not midget.
Correct.
Yeah, he's driving a midget. But he's giving Park Arrives some words of encouragement. Yeah, so in this week's Kart Chaser crew, you've got Riley Can, on the buttons and directing things. You've got Taylor Burris. You've got Carson Clements on replays and graphics and weather forecasting.
Correct.
In the production truck. Out on circuit, you have got our camera crew. You have got Brandon Hughes. You've got Willem. And you have got Grace Overbeck, Willem Tompkins, and Grace Overbeck out on circuit on cameras. And in the pits, you've got Hayley Donaldson, Caleb Yeska, and Alex Searle. And then you've got Mia Zander making noise as well. So that's your Kart Chaser crew for the weekend, boys and girls. This track is drying in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about this yesterday, right? I had the chance to talk to a lot of different drivers, talked to Alessandro Tulo yesterday, and, we had that big storm initially at the start, and this track dried off, I think, quicker than anybody else expected, and we saw that crossover point get to about the X30 Pro heat race, and it was mixed conditions. There's still very damp places on the racetrack where there's obviously dirt offline. So this first section is going to dry up really quick, but when you get on this back straightaway, obviously everything on the side, the rumble strips that you do have to go over to take the racing line, those are going to be very slick. And then everything on the inside as well, there into the bowl of turn 4, all that's going to be pretty damp, especially on that inside line. So it's still going to be a wide line through turn 4. This section, again, still holds a lot of water. And with the new added dirt here at Trackhouse Motorplex, again, to combat the rental carts, which is the business here, obviously, going off track, digging into the track, and causing a really huge drop-off when the owner carts get onto the track, and they tear stuff up pretty much from the big drop-offs from, the exit of turn 6 and 7. So adding that dirt there has brought a lot of dirt offline, especially into what is now turn 7. So it's a difficult racetrack to get around here today, and again, it's just kind of tiptoeing your way around, finding the limit, and really staying online. So I really don't think it's going to be hard to hold moves here, especially early on in the day.
Now, we're watching Parker Ives on screen. Before Parker went out, we saw Parker getting a couple of last-minute words of encouragement from Brandon Carr. And the Steel City Saint himself is down in pit lane with our own Haley Donaldson. Haley, take it away.
I'm here with Brandon Carr. He is a pro-am circuit driver, turned now dirt racer. And now he's a driver coach for Ryan Perry Motorsports. We're following along with Parker Ives. And Brandon, as a driver coach, tell me about how you're walking your drivers through this track, this actively drying, haywire weather yesterday. How are you telling your drivers?
So just for this morning, you just got to tell them just find the dry patches as they're out there on slick tires and the track's still half and half. So the amount of time they'll lose just by doing the normal racing line where it could be wet. So they just got to try and find the dry patches where that could be wide, that could be tight. So get the heat in the tires at the start of the practice and the start of the race, just so it helps them as much as possible. But it's whoever can be the most aggressive right now is going to be at the top of the board.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you, Haley. Thank you, Brandon. And you join us back on the circuit as Parker Ives and Simon Klein sort of have a dual rotation. They both sort of lost it on their own. Just go to show how tricky it is, because whilst Brandon was speaking, we saw Maxwell Matcher also have an off-track excursion. Now, most of these drivers look like they're on wet tyres still.
Still slicks, it looks like.
And maybe it's my eyesight. Should have got the Specsavers.
And I think that's why we saw the likes of Ives, we saw the likes of Simon Jack Klein, that through that section, especially turn 5, that little kink on the left-hander, it's still very damp through there. And again, that's one of the tightest sections through the racetrack. That's why you don't see much passing going into 6th. It's just hard to really fit two karts through there.
Yes, indeed. And you could see drivers moving around. I mean, yesterday, Mini Swift, for me, Caleb, had the first heat in particular was absolutely outstanding. I was speaking to Enzo Di Janeiro's dad in the kart wash line last night, and I said, well, he was quick, he was quick in the dry, and he was thereabouts in the wet, and he goes, yeah, we had a tough day at the circuit, heat 1, he could have settled for finishing 3rd, but he wanted to finish 23rd instead. By saying that, he means that he didn't just sit there, he went for a move and ended up costing him.
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure. And talking about the race, the first heat race that we saw yesterday for the Mini Swifts, I mean, that first race was really, really good, and you saw the action that it brought. I think we have a replay here on what could have happened.
The replays, the shopakr.com replays last night weren't cooperating. It's not like when you go to shopakr.com, which is a seamless online ordering process. I have to say that whilst we were out eating what I can only describe as a fairly mid-Mexican meal last night, Xander and Carson, Xander and Stump were here, and you, Caleb, at the circuit trying to tweak and finesse some of the buttons and to make sure that we give you the full kart chaser experience. But the shopakr.com replays are still having a bit of a Sunday morning lie-in at the moment, but we will get them to you as soon as we can.
Yeah, and like I was saying earlier, we talked about the racing in this class, especially yesterday, Henry. I think the entertainment factor was really good, but I think also, right, we saw a lot of moves that were kind of on the line, and
there's a replay.
good morning to the replays, and there you saw just hit the curb and I think went around, and Simon Jack Klein just looked to be collateral damage there in that one. But
well, I mean, that's a very fast replay. That's an excellent fast replay. Double quick replays like that. But yeah, it just goes to show you. Clips a curb, rotates, and that's it. Now, checkered flag goes out. Maxwell matchup. Here's something you can help me decide something. Maxwell matchup be looking for a nickname. He's seen other drivers have got nicknames. Now, I've suggested to him that he should be the Macho Man after Macho Man Randy Savage.
That could be good. That could be good.
Maxwell has decided maybe, in the live chat, I think the Macho Man, and he should go around with a big sort of like Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh, yeah. But Maxwell says, I want to be known as Maxwell Verstappen.
Maxwell Verstappen. I think that would be that'd be a good one again, and that's a tough name to live up to, especially at such a young age with, obviously the accolades that Max had in karting and what he continues to do now.
I know, but look at that. Top of the pile, Maxwell, Matcher at the moment after Mini Swift. Let's have a quick break from the action. We'll be back after this short commercial break. Don't touch that dial.
All the way up to the finish line. Who is it going to be? And it's Charles Perez who wins in Crescent.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 in KA100 Junior.
Alex Stanfield played it perfectly here. Told him to wait. Stanfield wins the Duffy in 2024 for TV Kart.
Amarillo Kart Complex is now the official distributor for TV Kart in the continental U.S. Become a dealer today.
Let's go race.
Come on, man.
Welcome back ladies and gentlemen, X30 Junior warm-up on track. This is the 7th out of 9 warm-up sessions. We've got KA Masters and X30 Pro coming up after this. X30 Junior, Caleb. This was a really interesting class yesterday with Lucas Palacio, you know, fresh from, I think, the youngest driver in history to be signed by a Formula One team as part of their academy youth program. But he didn't have it all his own way, did he?
Yeah, I mean, it was really tough for Lucas in that first heat race, right? He was up there, up at the front, got shuffled back early on, and then the mixed conditions, you know, that's kind of what he's used to. They do it all the time over in Europe, so he was kind of, you know, trying to get stuck in, as well as a couple of other drivers, some of the young guys, some of the rookies as well in this class. You talk about Ashton Woon, he kind of got roughed up in that first heat, fell down the order. And the likes of Max Weiland, right, at DNF in heat race number 3, Tristan Murphy as well, who was up there with Ryan Perry. They went on used tires in one of the heat races to try and find the benefit in that on a drying racetrack. But again, this field has been super, super close. We saw the battling yesterday, and I mean, it's really, I think, one of the classes to watch. And year after year, I mean, especially here at Trackhouse Motorplex, you have the local contingent that comes out week after week, and they really, really show, you know, the class of the X30 Junior field here in the States.
And you can see how tricky the track conditions are. You got one of the Sodi karts there at the top of the picture spinning, and a couple of drivers avoiding action. Now, it's a key thing. So you say drivers having, you know, a DNF. 31 karts in X30 Junior. We're looking at Nate Dupuy, who had a strong day yesterday in this class. But yeah, will one retirement effectively ruin your chance to victory?
It'll definitely make it a lot harder, right?
I mean, 22 laps though, 22 laps, you know, to come back. If it's dry, this track is pack racing all the way, you know. Realistically, if you're inside the top 20, have you still got a chance?
Inside the top 20, I think, is definitely still a little doable. Inside of the top 15, for me, anything outside of there is a little bit harder, right? Because you never know what's going to happen in junior racing, like we see week after week. You know, a lot of defensive maneuvers in these young classes as well, which makes it harder for other drivers to kind of get up to the front.
Yep.
And we see a lot of breakaways. I was talking about this yesterday. I can't remember with who, but we were just saying that this weekend, it was actually with Brandon Lemke. We were talking, you know, there's been a lot of breakaways this weekend because you obviously have 1 and 2 working together, pushing each other along, and then from 3 on back, it's an all-out war. It's an all-out battle with, you know, blocking and whatnot. So we've seen a lot of our leaders and race leaders get away. We saw it in Micro Swift Heat 1. We saw it in KA Senior, and, you know, we're seeing it in X30 Junior as well throughout the day, KA Junior. So it's just, you know, a matter of kind of working together and trying not to waste too much time when you are going to make moves.
Yeah, yesterday was so, obviously the conditions, you know, did not help, or the conditions played their part, but we saw some races where 0.002 of a second, you know, where there was like 0.002 of a second between the winners, and there's other races that we saw winners by 10 seconds. Now, X30 Junior is on track. The Masters are up next, and Martin Stone, one of our Masters, is down in pit lane with Haley Donaldson. Haley, take it away.
So Martin, you're a Brit. It was a pretty average day yesterday for you guys. Tell me about recap your day for me yesterday, and tell me about how you're feeling heading into today.
So first heat was very average. I think we were like P3, just missed a little bit in the dry. And then second heat we had a spark plug fail, which was out of my control. And the last heat, 3rd position again. So 25 laps in the dry, I think we'll be looking good today. Definitely, I feel like around here we're better in the dry this weekend.
So Alex and I, we were standing around watching you analyze the track a little bit earlier. Tell me about when you're standing there and you're watching sessions before you go out. What are you thinking about? What are you looking for?
Like yesterday, the track was changing so much session by session. Just seeing, even like now for warm up, just seeing which corner's drying out like quick, and yeah, if I need to be using more curb, less curb, and yeah.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Haley. And yeah, like Caleb, you know this. What the drivers They're not just looking for teammates, although sometimes they are. They're looking for how karts are reacting. It doesn't matter what class you're in. All these go-karts, they got, one tire on each corner and a steering wheel in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of hit hit it right on there, Henry, and it's just kind of seeing, yesterday, I was talking to Gus Lawrence a whole lot on the grid, and he was always watching, always watching, always eyes peeled to the racetrack. Same thing with Ryan, and I was talking to him as well throughout the day. I was like, what are you kind of looking at the racetrack? He's like, man, I'm looking at the same thing as you. I'm looking at the corners. I'm looking at everything offline. And I know as much as you because I haven't been out there yet, and this track is obviously evolving session after session. So, all the pro guys, all the drivers, with under any tent are going to have their eyes peeled at every single session, no matter what session it is, because you can learn anything from anyone.
Yes, indeed. Travis Pettit is the fastest at the moment. Big happy birthday to kart chaser crew member Rocco Rusic. Now working out in California. He's just a part-time kart chaser crew member now, but Rocco, I can't understand why he would want to work. Is it Porsche he's working with or something like that out in California?
Correct.
Yeah. What are the Porsche? Who are they? Checkered flag is out. And that is it for Junior X30. Travis Pettit, Nate Dupuis, Max Weiland. I saw AJ Myers pushing Max's kart to the grid earlier on, and that is not what you want.
Travis Pettit.
So win it, then bin it. That is not what you need. As he's up and out, he's chatting to the corner worker, so the main thing is he's okay, but he goes fastest, and he's frustrated with himself. That's the worst you could do because you've now given your mechanic, the kart was perfect as it was, and now you're just not quite so certain whether it's going to be perfect again.
And mechanic's dad, right? So he's got to take it back to dad, make sure everything's good, make sure nothing's broken on that Speed Concepts Racing X30 machine.
Yes.
Because, I mean, it's been fast. In the morning warm-up, he was able to dial, the conditions right in, able to adjust, able to go quicker overall by 0.2 of a second. And to put it on the wall, that's unfortunate. Hopefully that thing is still straight and not bent up. You can see that rear bumper is a little bent, so hopefully it's not the same issue that we saw with Bailiff yesterday.
Now, we've obviously got Gus Lawrence here, and we'll be learning Kart Chaser Universe as the corner work is going to work there. That is, let's just dig a trench, because that little river across the line, well, that river was Ryan Norberg's best friend in Heat 2 yesterday. He figured out a line into that corner. No one else. Oh, they're making mud pies. They're making mud pies. Mississippi mud pies. Happy days. Now, in your, obviously, Gus Lawrence, Air Force One is here. And, it's just Travis Pettit. That's it. Let's just drive through the puddle. You've been learning some new English slang words, vernacular. What is a barnet?
I couldn't tell you. Speaking yesterday to Caden McQueen and Gus, I was kind of telling them I used to actually, my soccer coach back in the day, Earl Barrett.
Yes.
He played for the England national team, played for Aston Villa, as well as Manchester City, and he used to always say Mingen. It's
Mingen.
It's Mingen. So and then yesterday I was joking around with Caden. I'm like, dude, it's a Mingen day out here today, which means disgusting, horrific, whatever.
Yep, absolutely Mingen. Usually they state to me on a Sunday morning after a night out, Saturday night. I'm absolutely Mingen. That's the key. But yeah, your barnet's your haircut. Got to get your barnet out. Now, oh dear, now speaking of minging, not that cart there, the cart behind has discovered some mud. And that
Scott Falcone.
That is minging. That cart there is minging. He's looking over, oh dearie me. Talk about the sort of the North Carolina clay mud. Is it unique to North Carolina or just this region?
I mean,
this color of mud.
I really couldn't tell you, right? And this kind of reminds me of horse racing a little bit. As one driver's into the wall, that's Miguel Mir, who's into the wall early here today.
Well, he's parked it. He's properly parked it in the wall.
And again, that kind of shows how difficult that last section is. We looked at that, river that was going across, but a wild start. And I was talking, right, that Scott Falcone kind of reminds me a little bit of horse racing with the Kentucky Derby obviously being today. in Kentucky later on. But
Is it today or was it yesterday?
I think it's today. It's today.
It was raining. What was the
Correct.
race yesterday?
Correct.
The
So
entire field is related to Secretariat.
Yeah.
In the Kentucky Derby.
So and again, right? You kind of look at that. The horse that's in first is clean. The jockey and the horse that's second on back are just completely drenched in mud, and that's exactly what you saw yesterday.
Yeah.
A couple of the back markers were just drenched and filthy in the mud, and then the first place driver came through crystal clean, suit still clean, dry.
Yep.
And that kind of reminded me a little bit of horse racing. But that's I know that the entire field this year is the 20 horses that are taking part are related to Secretariat.
They're all descendants of Secretariats, you know.
Greatest racehorse of all time.
It is indeed. And now, as we look at the field, or some of the field, now let's have a little look. So, Kevin Simonalik. Oh no, there is the number 442
Joey
Joey
LeBeau.
Logan. Yeah, the downright motorsport entry.
And he had a good day yesterday as well, Henry. I think earlier on in the day, I think he went from 9th all the way up to 3rd, it
Yes,
looked like
he did,
yesterday.
yep.
So that was a really good showing for Joey as well, based out of Miami, Florida at Homestead. Hans Thompson on the wrenches for him this weekend. So he
Yes,
was moving.
Hans on the
He was
wrenches,
moving
yeah.
yesterday. So a good job by Joey LeBeau.
Now, should we embarrass Kevin Simonalik? Yes. Okay, so at the start of Heat 3 yesterday, you would have seen Kevin Simonalik at the side of the circuit, and there was one tyre off the kart. What we didn't see is that in the rush to get himself ready, either he or his mechanic may have forgotten to do up not one, but both rear tyres, because there is footage of him coming along, and then one tyre parts company sends the kart into a tailspin. The other rear tyre parts company almost spits him out the back of the car. It's Crash Helmet, also parts company.
Correct.
Yeah, that was, hey, if you're going to do it in style. So Simonalik is out there. I really hope, I didn't see what Scott and Kim Carapalati. I hope they're out today. They had an incident in turn 1 of heat number 1. And then we didn't see them the rest of the day. So I do hope we have our full complement of drivers. There is the best cart of Paul Montopoli, and that's been going very, very well, hasn't it?
Yeah, so far a good weekend for Paul Montopoli, and then again, good weekends go on for a lot of these drivers. Martin Stone, right, we talked about him earlier. He's into the pits. Miguel Mir, who was in the top 5 yesterday, into the pits. Dusty Davis not out on the racetrack to start this one out, and actually a great conversation with Dusty last week on our 52nd episode of KC Grid Talk, which I think we just got Gus Lawrence confirmed for this week. So
no. Oh, Caleb.
Did I spoil that? Were you supposed to wait for Monday or Tuesday to promote that?
I was going to lead you in. I was going to say, yeah, you had a great chat with Dusty Davis on episode 52, but now we can exclusively reveal this week, episode 53, will not only have you, Alex and Emery, as usual, but you will also have
Gus Lawrence, Air Force One.
There we go. That's called hype.
So how did he get that name? Because we were talking about it yesterday. I obviously don't call him that, but
have you seen his hair?
I mean, it's a nice head of hair.
It's a proper barnet, that is. There you go. That's all we need to know. So there we go. All you need to do, have a look at his driver photo, look at the barnet, it's got its own talk show back in the UK.
There you go.
You can discuss it. Yeah, Air Force One. Now, a driver that really impressed me yesterday, making a return to the national karting scene, was Ryan Raffer. And Ryan is down with Haley in the pit lane.
I'm here with Ryan Raffer. Ryan, you had a pretty solid day yesterday. You're rolling off P6 today. What are you looking for going into the final to make sure that you can chase after these arguments?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that it's wet this morning because we wanted to make a couple changes to see if we could gain a 10th or 2 on pace. But we're going out, make sure our engine runs right, and we just have to make sure we hit the setup right because that's going to be the most important part. If we go out in the final and we're too tight or too loose, we're just not going to be able to compete with those RPG guys. But I think we have a really good chance. We just have to nail the setup, and I have to drive perfect to be able to keep up with Norberg and his teammates. Incredible.
Ryan, whenever you're out there, you were talking about setup. what if you don't nail the setup? What are you doing during the race to kind of combat that and make sure that you're still able to give what you do have?
It's actually a really good question. That's something that I struggle with. I don't race as much as Norberg and Garrison and all these guys that run up front. I only run 3-4 races a year. So that's actually one of the things I struggle with. That's one of the things Mike Doty's helping me. But you just have to change your braking point. You have to change how hard you go into the corner. But sometimes it's just, for me, it's hard to adapt my driving style around a kart that's not working right. But I'm getting there. I think today we'll need to hit the setup right, or I might struggle a little bit, to be honest.
Thank you, Ryan.
No problem.
Thank you, Haley. Thank you, Ryan. And again, hey, it's not often you hear that from a racer driver.
Yeah.
Say, look, this is one area of my skill set that I struggle with, making adjustments mid-race. And that's why, the team helped me in particular. A couple of things to mention. The Kentucky Derby was yesterday. Sovereignty was the winner. And it was, the conditions were about as good for that yesterday as we had during the second round of heats.
Do you know who the jockey was on Sovereignty yesterday?
The winning one. I don't know. I don't know the winning jockey. But I know that I did see a little clip this morning. I think it was his second win. He was 2 fingers in the air and saying, but he was the only one that you could still see as silks. And when I was doing our KC crew rundown, I forgot to mention the one and only Nathaniel Nathan Dean.
Yes, sir.
Who it was quickly mentioned, a mention of Aston Villa on the Kart Chaser live stream. And, if you're from the UK, Aston Villa, they're a well-known Premier League football team.
They got far in the Champions League this year as well.
They did. They're fighting to get in the Champions League again, but they're from Birmingham. And the famous phrase that the Villa fans use is, "Up the Villa! Up the Villa!" Right, there we go. That's my Birmingham accent for you. Here we go.
A little too British to me, for me, too early in the day.
I know. So, right, one warm-up session to go, ladies and gentlemen. X30 Pro. Will we get all 27 entries out there? Zach Commander Mello made a fleeting appearance yesterday. There's tyre saving and then there's tyre saving. Let's have a little look. Is it fair to say, well, that if conditions stay dry, will this be a head-to-head fight between Ryan Norberg and Gus Lawrence, or have the other contenders gone to work last night and, reset themselves and made the necessary adjustments so that, they can pay closer attention? Because the likes of, Frankie Mossman sort of had it went downhill for him in heat number 1. But you've got, Austin Garrison has been right there. Dalton Haynes has been right there. Paulie Massimino has been right there. Another 10th or 2 tenths, and they are with them, the RPG boys.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about it, right? In this class, especially being a pro class, you can never get comfortable. You can never stop working. You can never stop, trying to go faster, because this track changes, and if you're getting faster, if you're not getting faster, everybody else is going to be. So it's definitely going to be a game. I was joking around with Ryan yesterday, and after the day was over, walked in the tent, we were talking a little bit about golf, and then he was like, man, did you see me out there in the rain? I was keeping up with them, almost past them, and then he obviously pulled away. But to me, I won that race. That was a win for me, because infamously, word around the paddock, whenever the rain does come down, Ryan struggles. But I said it in my interview with him yesterday. I was like, you proved a lot of people wrong, and that shows you why he's the 9th time. And issues for Paulie Massimino on the grid. I don't know if they've tried to get started or just about to. Mike Doty right behind him, getting him started, as well as his dad, or looked like his dad, but I'm not sure if he's going to get going here today.
And that is
for Paulie in the morning warm-up.
And that is the worst feeling, because this is the new starter motor. New starter.
Here comes
motor.
Jake Drew.
Let's get...
or Drew James, sorry.
So maybe a starter motor went down. Well, I'm not quite sure. And, of course, the next time that Paulie hits the track will be in the main event. So whatever is the problem, they've got to diagnose it and then hopefully fix it. But have, because obviously this kart would have been running on the stand earlier on. They would have warmed the engine up this morning. and then suddenly it won't go. Under the watchful eye there of Haley Donaldson, I wonder if we can get word down to Haley to see if Haley can make some inquiries as to what the problem is. We'll give her a couple of minutes to sort of, maybe not ask Paulie because, you'll get a 4-letter answer. But we'll have a little look now. New kids on the block.
We are fired, but possible spark plug? Question marks.
Possible.
I will inquire with his dad.
Thank you, Haley. Here we go.
What is
Good.
it?
That's the way you got to do it.
There you go.
You know, keep saying to Haley, hey, just stick your nose in, ask a question. You're the journalist, you're the pit reporter. It's something because Haley's just starting out in this job and she's doing a fantastic job. And that was one of the Dalton Haynes Motorsports karts. That was Kellen Spears. But yeah, that's what you got to do as a pit reporter. Stick your nose in. If they tell you to off, then they don't mean it. They don't mean it. They're just busy.
Everybody's nice here. Everybody's super nice to us, and again, that's been the biggest thing as well, right? Introducing Haley to all these new people, and she's done a great job so far this weekend. So huge shout out to her. I know she's hard at work as well on her really first weekend of doing this. So super glad to work with her yesterday. And again, sometimes you just got to get in there and no hard feelings, but we're just doing our job sometimes.
And everyone understands that. That's the thing, I'm very fortunate to work in kart paddocks all over the world. The FIA karting paddock is somewhat not as nowhere near as friendly, but that's a different whole different world to itself. This is a sport in its own right. The UK is the same, and they're all working with Rotax, working with the Army, working with Rock and all that. Yeah, the drivers and the teams all understand. Hey, the coverage that you're getting will only help us all. As the sport grows, we all get to it.
Yeah, I mean, correct. Especially, going forward into the rest of the day. For those of you at home, we're going to be on behind the paywall later on today. If you guys have seen the commercial, Henry, do you have any idea how expensive Netflix is nowadays?
It is more expensive than a monthly pass for KC Premium.
Correct, and that's only $9.99 a month. And you can watch all the racing action live from coast to coast. And that's quite literal today because we're over in California with Tri-C over there to Trevor Blue and the California crew local. And we're on the East Coast, so coast to coast.
But to get, it's Caleb Yeska, but to get the excellent value at $9.99 a month, what device should you register and join KC Premium with?
Anything but an iOS device because that tacks on an extra $2 that we don't see a month, so don't pay that extra.
No.
Only the $9.99, and you can see more cool shots like this. Finnegan Bailiff into the scale lines early behind Hayden Jones. So,
and that would be anything other than an iOS device, which would be
an Android.
Okay.
Google Pixel. If you have one of those. A Samsung. A desktop device, I think so.
A desktop device? God, there we go. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your last few moments of free-to-air coverage of this round 2 of the United States Pro Kart Series from the Trackhouse Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. As you're looking at Caden McQueen, Nate Dean was responsible for the lightning rain delay social post where Lightning McQueen made a little appearance on it. Caden McQueen is, he's getting fast. He's getting almost as fast as Lightning. He's still got a little way to go. Let's have a little look. Zach Comandamano is out there up into P7, but it's Daniel Perez fastest as warm-up comes to a close. McQueen second. Air Force One, Gus Lawrence third. Dalton Haynes is fourth. Colin Lloyd, P5. Ryan Raffa, P6. And ZCD is seventh, followed by Hayden Jones. Fast, Frankie Mossman, Quentin McPherson, then Levi Sanguera, Christian Blevins Jr., Santiago Fernandez, and Paulie Massimino is out there. Question, spark plug, some nervous times ahead, but I am told that Paulie has his number one fan here in the paddock in his Paulie Massimino shirt. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
Frank the Tank.
Well, there you go.
Frank Kidd, the biggest Great Dane in the history of Great Danes. He's got his Paulie Massimino shirt on, and Paulie's his guy.
Yeah, we'll wish Moosh the best of luck here later on today as he gets set to try and get one at home. And again, him and Austin were talking about the weekend last night and just trying to take the fight up to the RPGs that have been super, super fast. But in the morning, obviously, Gus Lawrence, Air Force One. How about McQueen, who's been lightning fast this morning? There you go. With that being said, we take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with more racing action. The United States Pro Kart Series is live on Kart Chaser.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this Brandon business, okay? Brandon this, Brandon that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats, they got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there?
Dude, I'm doing a commercial.
Dude, we have no time. It's about to start.
Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.